Hi, I'm Stacy with Easy Design Resources, and today we're in episode 2 of our series, Merch Design Hot Rod Edition. In this episode, just like the last one, we're going to be creating this design from start to finish. We're going to start with a sketch, but we're going to really bring it to life with the right fonts and color choice. We'll be using the appearance panel, we'll be working with spot colors, and we're also going to use the mask effect under the transparency panel. Also, if you want to expand your design skills, head over to my website, easydesignresources.com/free workshop, and get my free Intro to Illustrator workshop. This is an in-depth walkthrough for setting up your workspace and understanding the tools and effects at your disposal. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and hit that like button for good measure. Let's get to it. So the next design we're going to work on for Classic Corner Garage is going to be kind of an athletic arch style design using the cross wrenches that we did in the last piece. And just adding a bit of a different feel. So the first thing I'm going to do is just double check my artboard size, make sure I am 12 inches by 16 inches. That's the size I prefer to work on. In fact, actually this one I'm going to make 14 because the design will be set up to be 12 inches wide and I like to have a little bit of margin space on the sides. All right, so let me just drag in my template. Now in this series, I sketched out everything beforehand. I wanted to see on one page kind of where my brain was going creatively and what I would want to ultimately present for this customer. So we're going to take that piece. It looks, let me see. So let me just confirm the width of my template here, just 12 inches wide, kind of drag it down. It's a little bit big, so we'll just reduce it a little here. Get it centered. All right, I'm going to copy it, go ahead and delete, create a new layer, drag it down beneath my original layer, paste in front, Command F, double click it, hit template, 50% will be just great. And now we can see it in wireframe mode and in preview mode. I'm going to delete our rectangle. So one element I know I want to use from the last design is the cross wrenches. So I'm going to go back to that design just real quick. Just kind of zoom in, Command Y to go to wireframe mode, type in A. Holding Option, it'll select it directly, getting all the anchor points, and hitting that a few times will get all the pieces together. Copy it, and come back over here, paste it, type a V for my direct selection tool, and put it in place. All right, so this has yet to be properly adjusted, but let's see. I'm going to go ahead and make the outline black. So Shift X and then typing an A and clicking 2 times on the wrench behind it will select all the pieces. Type an eyedropper the front wrench. It'll mimic the coloring. So now we have a white fill and a black outline. This will be great to work on our white background, just getting all the pieces in place. So the way this one is going to read is it's going to say Paulie's Classic Corner Garage. So Paul is the guy that owns the business, and this is his shop. So we're going to run with that. Pauly''S. Come up here real quick. Command Shift C will center it. Command Shift L will flush it left. Command Shift R will flush it right. We want it centered. So we're going to go there and then center it on our page. And then we want it to be a lot bigger. So like 120 point. See what that does. Perfect. All right, now the fun part, I'm going to look for a font that I think would be ideal for this. Back Soda. That's the same one we used on our other piece for the word classic. So having the same font used throughout this series might be a great way to add continuity and just kind of enhance the overall style and feel of this project. I think one thing I want to do is, I don't like that spacing right here between the Y and the S, so just typing in between, let's see, our apostrophe is going to be affected. So I'm going to actually I'll move the apostrophe out to the right, so Option, arrow key right, and then arrow key right to move it on the other side of the apostrophe, and then arrow key left. Oops. Zoom in here. Looks like it's just a little bit. Okay. We'll need to do this incrementally. We want to just make it fluid. Perfect. Just like that. I may convert this to outlines and move that apostrophe down a little bit. But for now, everything is set up just the way we want it. Select that text, holding Shift and Option. It's going to duplicate the text, the reason I want to do that is it just keeps it centered. And we're going to do classic corner. Obviously, we're not going to use that font. I thought about going with a collegiate style font for this design, just to give it a different feel. And let's see where my collegiate fonts are at. Oh, here we go. I don't care for the serif on the A. That's not a bad font though. Let's see. A little bit better. College condensed. I don't like the R. Let's go back. There, that one's fine. Okay, we'll go with that. It might still be a little bit wide. Let's see. Actually, we can go a little bit smaller. I'm going to scale it. I typed an S to scale it with the scale tool, and what that's going to do is with text, it's going to center it off of the origination of the font. So this line of text is centered, so it's going to go off the middle. If it was flush left, it would be off wherever the anchor is. So type an S and then just click on the outside, hold Shift and drag it in. And it looks like I'm just about there with the font being similar in size to the sketch. All right, so there's two ways I can do this text. I can arch it where the letters are all remain vertical and then it goes along an arch, or I can arc it and put it on a path. So I want to try it both ways. So I'm going to type an L, and just coming down below, I'm going to drag out an oval. If I hold Option, it's going to run it centered from where I clicked. If I don't hold Option, it's going to originate from wherever I clicked. So out to the left or to the right. So if I hold Option, it'll center it and expand from where I clicked. We'll run with that. I want it to be a little bit wider, a little bit taller. So type a T, and then I come down to this center anchor point, holding Option, you'll see that the tool changes. Click, and then now I've got a centered line of text around that. I'm going to copy our piece of text, Command C, double click, triple click until you get all the characters highlighted. I'm going to go ahead and hit delete and paste. All right. So one thing I don't love is, compared to the sketch, the letters, they're just too big. They're too wide. So I'm going to try narrowing it. And I'm not sure I'm loving that either. Typing a T, I'm going to come into the beginning of corner and just need to put a little bit more room between the text and that cross wrench graphic. Now I'm going to lock the text and then select that graphic and then reduce that in size a little. That works. All right, and then for right now, I'm going to hide that original text, grab polys again, pull it down, and type garage. Now garage will be smaller, just in fitting with our sketch. And then drag it down one more time, typing a T, established 2015. And then typing an I will copy the text that we have above, and then just reduce that by grabbing the bounding box and holding Shift, dragging up, getting it to fit about where I had it in the sketch. All right, so we've got all of our pieces together. Let me come over here and let's get rid of our sketch. One thing I may want to do is put polys on an arc. So selecting the classic corner, I select it and hold Shift and alternate, and it's going to make a duplicate. I'm going to send it to the back, so that's Command Shift bracket left. Copy the text. I'm going to hide the text. Double click or triple click on classic corner to get that line of text active, and then Command V to paste. So now It's got a little bit of a different flow. Let me move Classic Corner up. Our original text, you can see if I change the color of that, it's just straight. So having that little bit of arc just gives it a little bit more personality and feeling. I like that. All right, we'll keep that the way it is. Classic Corner, I'm not sure I love the font, so let me just move that to the side. And let's see. So the font we used on our last piece was the URW DIN condensed. I'm going to copy that and paste it over here. And let's see. So we're condensed, bold, and it's also been brought in -40 on the tracking, which is where you hold Option and arrow key left to track it closer together, arrow key right to track it farther apart. So let me just bring it down and get this the point size closer to what our athletic font is. So typing an I will copy that. I think I'm going to like this. Okay, so I'm going to come back, DIN condensed. I wonder if I have a DIN ultra condensed, URW. So if you type in the font that you're looking for in Illustrator, it'll go straight to it. And then in this case, it's going to allow me to see all the different versions that I've got of that URW based DIN font. All right, so I think I'm going to go with this. I'm going to change it a little bit. We're going to make it narrower. That font will actually still function well being squeezed. I'm only squeezing it 75% at this point. If you squeeze a font too small, what ends up happening is your vertical lines get squeezed so much that the horizontal lines, they just look out of place. If we come in here and just looking at the L, it just doesn't look right. It looks squeezed. We don't want it to look squeezed. So even at 50%, it's a little too much. So I may bring it in a little bit more, but at least we'll keep it close to that 75. I'm also going to open up the space here between the L and the A. I don't want the letters to be connecting like that. All right. So just put a little bit more space here. I think that might be good. Lock it. I'll go ahead and make the wrenches a little bit smaller. I may want to change this here in a little bit. So I got this font from the future, from Design Cuts. It was a limited offer, but these fonts are still available out there. Hunt them down individually. And even DaFont has free versions of them. All right, so we've got, I think polys might be a little bit too big. I'm going to go ahead and convert that to outlines now. And you can see here where each letter comes together and it overlaps. I'm going to want to do Pathfinder to make sure that they stay in unity. And let's grab our apostrophe and kind of like bring it down a little bit more appropriately placed for its use. All right. Delete that. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the collegiate font. I'm not going to use it. I think if anything, I've just got to solve the feeling of Classic Corner right here. Send that to the back so I can grab our wrenches. I'm going to hide the wrenches and just get this to fit a little bit better. Maybe run it at 80% and close that gap a little bit. Remember, our artboard is at 14 inches wide. Double check that. Yep, 14 inches wide, which is wider than I would care for it to be for this design. I'd like it to be right around 12. We're tracked in -40. That's as close as I'd want to get the letters. I wouldn't want them to be any closer. And so I think I'll make it a little bit, no. Okay, so let's try 75 again. Let's see where we are. I just brought the rulers up. That's just Command R. I want to be in an inch on the left, be in an inch on the right. Just bring that down by bringing the point size down. Now I'll bring the size of polys down. It doesn't need to be that big. And then garage and established, I'm going to reduce. Let's see. So Polys and Garage is about the same size. Since I'm not using that collegiate font, we'll get rid of the collegiate font there. Okay. All right, I like the way Polys is overlapping the C on corner. I don't know if I want Garage to overlap as well. Oops. No, I'll keep it like this. All right, now just thinking about the shirt color, this might go on. I'm gonna go with like, let's see. Just made a 14 by 16 rectangle to go behind the whole thing. Send it to back, and I'll start with like a tan. I'm going to convert this to a spot color and then just tweak it a little. Maybe something a little more military tan. Center that. All right, so I'll typically start something like this. I've got my shirt color picked out. It's a lighter tone, so I'm going to go with black and white as my colors. I might change those later if I get inspired on something. But black and white is pretty solid. You're guaranteed to have good contrast. You're guaranteed to be able to have good hierarchy, and tertiary details can be set back very easily doing this method. All right, so we're going to keep Polys black, and we'll go with Classic Corner and Garage in white. And then I think what I want to do with Established is make it a little bit smaller, maybe not compress it, allowing it to breathe a little bit, open it up, and I'm going to put a box behind it. I'm going to copy it, delete it, select that text, and then Command B to paste that box behind. And then I'm going to change the Established to the shirt color. Another thing I like to do in making sure that the text is centered properly is I will drag in the box to fit exactly to the best of my ability to see right on the edges, and then type an X to activate my stroke, and then color the stroke, and then just make that bigger. So then I've got an exactly centered box around my text. Go like that. All right. So in order to have these things have some dynamic, we're going to start adding strokes. So one way I can do it is to just copy and paste behind until I have all the layers and all the coloring I'm looking for. The other thing I can do is set it up in the Appearance panel. So I'm going to come over here, and we've got Add New Fill, Add New Stroke. So I'm going to add a stroke. You can see right here we get our color. I'm going to change that to the shirt color. And I'm going to increase the point size. I'm also, make that box bigger. I'm also going to bring that, if I can, down below the fill. And I'm going to put a fill of black. So now you see we've got a more appropriately set up situation, what we're looking for. For now, I want to change the color of that to white so I can see where it's at. I need to make it a little bit bigger. We'll go with 8 points wider. And I want to change, let's see. I want to change the capping corners to round. I won't do that on the Classic Corner because that font is a crisp font. I don't want to mess with that. But the script kind of has a more rounded feel. And sometimes scripts can have points, which will give you sharp corners. And I just want to avoid that and just make it round. So that's perfect. I'm going to go back to the tan color. And then I want to duplicate that. So I'm just going to hit that plus mark right down here. Duplicate the stroke. And then now this one down here, I'm going to go wider. I'm going to go out to 16 point, and I'm going to make this one white. So now if we zoom in, you can see we've got a fill, we have a initial outline, which is the shirt color, and then we've got the white, and I can come in and adjust those however I like, which I think that looks pretty good right there. All right, so classic corner is white. I do want to adjust my spacing a little bit. Just kind of finesse it and get it where it's more what I'm looking for. All right, so we're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to come over and we're going to add a stroke. We're going to pull the stroke down behind the fill. The fill will be white. The stroke will be black, and then we want to leave it square. We're not going to round that one. So we'll go 8. We want to change that one to the shirt color, and then duplicate and come down here, and this one will change to black. All right, I'm not loving how that feels, so we'll go down to 12 point here. This one will reduce to where it's just kind of a hairline. Just kind of a hairline in there, just a little bit of space. Command 0 will bring your artboard out to fit within your screen. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy the classic corner. I'm going to paste in back, so that's Command C, Command B. And I'm going to arrow key down just a little. We want to get rid of the tan colored stroke, and we want to change our fill to black. All right. And then I'm going to also just incrementally bring in the width of the font so that it has a bevel feel to it. All right. We'll go with that. The garage, we're going to keep white. We're going to add a stroke. Bring that down below the fill. Change the fill on this to white. There we go. We'll make that, we'll go 16, round, and then duplicate. And what we'll change this one, the top one, to tan. And then reduce the size of that. All right. So I think to have good continuity, I'm going to change both polys and garage to have that bevel. So copy, paste behind, arrow key down, and then just bring the width in a few clicks. Change our fill color to black, hide that stroke. All right. And then here, copy, paste in back, arrow key down. That outline stroke we want to change to black so that all of our beveling is obvious. Arrow key down a little bit. Type a V, grab the bounding box. This isn't live text, so we're going to just drag it in manually. Hide that tan so everything is solid. Black. All right. I'm going to unhide the wrenches, maybe reduce it a little bit. Let's see. So with the wrenches, I want to bring them to where they're touching the edges of the C on both sides. And that's going to be visually centered. And as I'm looking at it, I'm not loving it. If I change that to a fill, and then on that outline I'll change that to the tan shirt color. Right there. That I'm not loving. All right, I feel like the classic corner needs to be taller and not as squished. So I'm going to look for a different font. I love the DIN series, so let me see if I have a DIN that is this one right here, DIN Condensed Bold. I believe I found that on DeFont. and then we'll change our width to 100% and our tracking, get that back to 0. And then we'll reset our kerning to auto. Okay, so if I go 90, I go 75, it still feels a little squished. We'll go 80. All right. What I'll do ultimately is I'll reduce the overall size to fit our 12 inches. All right, and enlarge our wrenches. Change the stroke. We got a little bit out of hand there. Okay, and then polys, let's see. Send it to the back and then bring it up 1. The t-shirt color is our farthest back element. So send it to the back, bring it up 1. That's just doing command bracket right. All right. I think this design could benefit from a distressed texture. I'm going to get rid of the wrenches here. Okay. Just trying to solve this on the fly. Just working through it so you guys can see how I do things. And hopefully it helps you to improve your workflow. And if you have any tips for any of the things that I've done, I know there's a way that I can use the appearances panel to get this drop shadow. And I've done it before, but I don't do it often, so I had a hard time remembering what that is. But if you know what that is, man, hit that up in the comment. That'd be awesome. Help us all out. All right, so the established, I'm going to do the apostrophe D. I'm going to get rid of the period. Just put a little more space here. Typing in A, I'm going to select that line of text. I could type V as well. The direct selection tool or the main selection tool works since it's not grouped. But if the work was grouped, you'll want to use your direct selection tool. I'm going to lock that. Go to wireframe mode. I'm not sure what I want to do with that box, so right now I'm going to hide it. I'll unlock our text, change that to black, bring the wrenches up. Oh, that's cool. Okay. So I don't want to leave it just black. Let's see. I also don't want it to be tracked in at all or kerned, so we're going to just set it back to stock. Just making it a little bit bigger and then reducing it from the bounding box up to the wrenches just to see what we get here. So I'm not going to put that box back behind it. Let's go ahead and unhide that. So Command Option 3, that's the only thing I had hidden, so I'll just hit delete. The reason I don't want to use that is because our wrenches wouldn't look right. Let's have a gander. Let's see. Okay, just drag that out to the edge of the 5. Drag the other side out to the edge of the E. Okay. Change our text back to the shirt color. Okay. Lock the text. Command 2. Okay, I got to bring it in top and bottom as well. All right. Ungroup that. Select just lock the text. Select the wrenches. That's not bad. I just feel like with the wrenches, they need to be bigger than the text. And by being so close to the edges, it kind of crowds the space a little bit more than I care. I could put a circle behind it. So in that case, I want to get the location, horizontal location of our rectangle, which I need to adjust right here. Okay, so I can get that here on our x-axis. Copy that, go to the circle, paste it. Let me also go to our text, paste it, lock it, and to our wrenches, paste. Okay, so going back to wireframe mode, we see established takes up more room than 2015. So I'm just command bracket left, and it's sending it back one element, one layer at a time. Okay. So 2015, I'm actually going to stretch out a little bit wider. I'm going to go back to wireframe mode, click on the character tab in my tools, and just go a little bit wider until the characters are intersecting with the circle on about the same level, and it looks like that's it right there. Lock our text, grab the box behind it again, just drag it out to the edge of the text, Command Y, get back into preview mode. The circle just seems a little small. All right, something like that. That's not too bad. All right, what I do also want to do is double click to select both pieces of the wrench set, and I'm going to move that outline from being centered on the line of text to originating and being sent out. I'm also going to make it a little bit bigger. What that's doing is just putting that space right here between the wrenches so that you can see where they're crossing each other. I think that's got a much better look. All right. All right, not too bad. I feel like right here we're just crowding a bit. Let me lock the background. I can click and drag over and get just the garage text. I'm going to go ahead and group that because I like how all that is set up together. And then just arrow key down until I get a little bit of room. And then I'm going to take this piece down here and arrow key down. I just don't want those things to be too much in contact. And then I'm going to move polys up a little bit. All right, I think that's good. So now with that new font and with bringing the wrenches down, I'm going to lock our background again and select just classic corner. Let me select the top part. All right, so if I just move it out 3%, that hits our 12-inch mark. All right. And this setup, I'm going to lock the background again. I do that a lot. I will constantly be locking and unlocking things just to get access to the pieces I need to adjust. I'm going to make this smaller. Go right there. Kind of as like a tag, kind of like a tertiary element. And then I had some text on this other one, restore, repair, customize. Let's copy that. So typing in A, I just select it until I can see I've got that arc text. You see our little blue line, our layer is blue, and then down here it's got the 2 marks. Copy that, go back to our new design, paste, and oh, here we go. I'm going to make that white. I'm going to keep it white. I'm going to double click on our text tool and flip it. So now it's arced the other way. There we go. And then let's center it on our page. Command and the plus mark, which is also the equal sign on the keyboard, will zoom up. All right. So I feel like on this piece, this text can be a little bit bolder. So I'm going to copy the font from Classic Corner. Obviously it's too big. We'll take that down to like 48. Okay. And I'm also going to go 100%. We want this to take up a little bit more room and to be spaced a little bit more. All right. So the design's starting to have a little bit more of a fullness to it. I'm starting to like a little more of what we have going on. Let's see, I want to make that a little bit smaller, space it out a little bit more. And then I'd also like to see maybe 3 lines coming out, and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to just drag a rectangle. I don't want to stroke, just to fill. We'll make it black, and we'll center it. Send it to the back, Command Shift, bracket left, and then bring it up 1. That is going to be just Command bracket right. So a common thing in hot rods is 2 stripes. So I know like a lot of Mustangs will have 2 stripes running up the hood. Camaros have done that. GTOs. So I'm going to go 2 stripes. Go a little bit heavy with them. Oops. All right, I'm going to select and lock the text. That's just Command 2. All right, and group. I'm grouping those 2. And then what I'm going to do is use the arc function under Effect, Warp, and Arc. Here we go. So I want it to be sitting just under Classic Corner. I'm going to move them down, but the curvature of that line is now exactly where I want it. That's 26. Now if I used Arch, which would be another option, you can see that it keeps the sides vertical. Since my text is on an arc, I want to keep my graphic elements also on an arc. So we'll hit OK and arrow key down. Let's see. All right. I might not be as centered as I had hoped to be, so let me select the text. I'm going to group it so that the top layer and that little drop shadow is together, and hit center. Okay. Now I'll lock it and then bring that arrow key down. Set it behind Garage. Now I'm just looking to see if there are, here we go. All right, so I've got an idea here. I'm going to make this just a little bit wider. It won't let me. Okay. All right. So what I want to do here is lock my background, copy all of that text, all the layers of the polys, and then I'm going to click down here and drag over Garage. Copy that. I'm going to hide those, selecting the rectangles. I'm going to paste in front, and then I'm going to change the outline color to the shirt and increase the size of that. That's 4, we'll go 6 points. 2, okay. All right, and then go back to our appearance panel. And then we'll change the color of this one. and we'll increase that size. There we go. All right, now we undo our hide. Now I don't like the little bits that we have here, so I'm going to just come in and just drag a path around that. Shift X will swap the fill and outline, and now the outline is active, so I'm going to hit / to get rid of it. Copy that, delete, and then paste it in front. I dig that. And then Garage doesn't have any weird intersections, so I'm going to leave it the way it is there. The only thing I'm not super fond of is that the lines don't quite reach the edge of the text the way I'd like. So what if we do this? Okay. We're getting closer. So I'm going to go ahead and expand that. And make it a little bit smaller. I'll adjust those bars here in another second. Let's see. All right, that's pretty cool. Okay, back to the bars. Let's see. All right, what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to go to Object, I'm going to expand Appearance, and now it's going to make it to where they are what they are. And at this point, I can still adjust the space between. I think I'll even pull it down a little bit. I think what I'll do here, I'm going to just change a little bit of how I'm doing this. So I don't love the fitment, so I want it to be to the L and the R. I'm going to change the color to red just so I have a contrast here. Move it up. So our curved letters obviously are going to hang down a little bit further. So what I want to do is typing A for the direct selection tool, since these two bars are grouped. I'm just going to drag that up a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to, typing in A, select these two corners. Oops. And I'm going to delete them. I'm going to change it from a fill to a stroke, and then I'm going to move that down. And then I will increase the stroke size. Now, because it's an art line, and I just add a fill to it, it has that wonderfully blunt arced edge to it. I'll go 16 point. I want to do the same thing up here. Make it red. Type a V for my main selection tool, and then I'll just drag it down until the line follows that text better. Type in A, Command-Shift-A to deselect, type in A to select those two anchor points I need to get rid of. All right, hit delete, Shift-X to convert it to a stroke. We did 16 point on the bottom one, so we'll just do that on the top one, and then arrow key up just to move it up into the place that we want it. I want the edge to follow this right here. So convert that to an outline, make it black so I can see it. Copy, paste in front, type in O for the reflect tool. Let's see, go to wireframe mode. These marks right here, these center marks, should be in the center of our page. So I can just kind of like go right to one of them, hold Option, click, flipped it vertically. I copied and pasted it in front. Had I not done that, I could have used the copy function in that tool. I'm going to lock that, come back to lock this one, type in A, holding Option, I selected the entire path. I'm going to go back to wireframe mode and zoom up, type a C for the scissor tool, and I want to just click right there. Click it right there. type in A again, hold Option, select that little piece, and delete it. Come up to the top, type the scissor tool. Holding Control, it's going to go to my direct select. It's going to go to my selection tool, and just click it, and then hit delete twice this time, and zoom in down here. Holding Control, you can get the direct selection tool. Click at that line, and when you can see it's got one solid anchor point, and then it's got the hollow anchor point, that means that that is the piece that has remained selected, and you can just hit delete. If that part doesn't have anchor points, then that means that the line that I wanted to keep was selected, and I don't want to hit delete because then I'll have to undo. All right, come in here and click, and you can see this is exactly what I'm talking about. So the part that's selected is the part I'm keeping. So I'll type A, hold Option, select that little piece that's at the end, and delete. Command 0 to get out. Command Option 2 to unlock everything. I'm just going to select these two pieces. I'm going to group them just so I can keep them where they are, and get rid of that stroke by hitting /. Command Y to get out of wireframe mode. And I'm starting to like this piece as a 3-color. Let me lock the text. All right, I want to select that line and bring it down. Okay. I also want to play with the idea of having the putting caps on those lines. So it looks a little bit better on top than it does on the bottom. I will just reduce that in a little bit. Type in I, that will let me. Nope. We'll go there. And then I want to see about changing the size of the C and the R. Now what did we do on the last design? Corner was the one that has the big. So it's going to have a similar feel, but let's just see what it looks like. Highlight the C, come back, and we'll make it bigger. So I'm bringing the baseline down. I want to bring it down to that point. So that's -32. Come to the R. I'll do the same thing, but just go straight to it. And then I'm going to stretch it tall and see what. All right, we'll go 110 and then increment up 116. Come back, oops, come back to our R, 116. And then I also need to change the, oops, we'll go ahead and get rid of those marks. 230 point. All right, so our C and our R are out there running into that red bar, which is fine. Lock that. We went -32. 230. And, well, we ended up going 116. Okay. So 230, 116, and -32. All right. Lock that, select that line. I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger, pulling it down. I'm not loving that. All right. So one of the troubles here is that the space between the C and the L and between the R and the E is different since the C has curvature. It rounds over. So it's not going to bump into that, that red line we've got. Let me select both of these lines, get rid of the caps, and just pull them in Oh, I know what to do. All right, so I'm going to ungroup them. Command-Shift-G. Put it back in the middle. Put our text in the middle. It is perfect. All right, so we're just going to kind of customize the fitment here. One way we can do that is by extending, let's see, extend this beyond the, oh, this is perfect. So I ran it behind the classic in the corner. And I'll do the same thing up here. Just going to take a little finessing here, get it just so. Okay. Okay, I think that works. So then what we're going to do is taking our text, copy it, I'm going to hide it. Nope. Yep, I'm going to hide it. And then get our red. I'm going to go ahead and group those again, paste in front, ungroup. All right. Go back to our appearance panel. And this outline, the black outline, we're going to change to beige, and I'm going to make it 6 points bigger. So it was 12, we're going to go 18. Nope, we're going to go 20, 22. Okay, oops. The next one, the same thing. So 10 points bigger. 22, change the color to our shirt color. And then unhide. So now we have a proper spacing of these things. Let's see. Here, we're just going to change this a little bit more. Go a little bit bigger. 32. Okay. Unlock, and then I need to lock the first two layers and then go to the next two, change that one to 32. Well, that one I can make a little bit smaller. You can see as we increase that stroke weight, it bumped down into our red. We don't want that. So we'll just bring it down to where it's no longer crashing our party. That also tells me as I brought it down, I wasn't bumping into the top anymore, but still bumping into the bottom. So typing in A, I select it. Hold Option and it'll select the whole thing, and then I can just bring it down a little bit. All right, so now we've got a more proper spacing between our bars and classic corner. I like the red. I wonder how we would look if we make Polly's red. I feel like that might be a little bit too much like the other design. I'll come back to it real quick. Yeah. All right, so let's lock our text, select our strokes, and see how they look black. Not too bad. Next thing I want to try is copy, paste in front, and make it the shirt color. That is 16. I want those stroke weights to be 16 point, and then as I adjusted them, I made them thicker. We'll get rid of that. All right, unlock. And I want to lock all the text. Type of E for the main selection tool, select that tan, and we want to bring that down to like a 4-point line. So now we got more of a racing stripe thing kind of going across the top and underneath classic corner. All right, zoom in here and see what we've got. Now I kind of want to go back and just fine tune the spacing on some of these strokes. We've got 4 and 16, and on polys, we've got 6 and 16. So to be the same as Garage, I'd bring that down to 4. I think that's good. Sometimes I would add some kind of a bevel or inside the line, inside the shape marks. On this design, I added the bevel to Classic. I think I will keep this one just the way it is. All right. Now what I also want to do is lock that text. I want to convert this box to just a solid shape and not a stroke. So we're going to go to Path, Outline Stroke. You can also do this by hitting Expand. But Expand is a little bit more steps, so going Path, Outline Stroke, it just immediately does it. Oops. Oops. Lock. Okay. All right, go Path, Object, Path, Outline Stroke. And then I go to Pathfinder and Unite. And then that takes any elements that are in there. Sometimes it'll separate your fill and your stroke. And this makes it one box. I'm going to type an A, hold Shift and Alternate is going to allow me to keep that box selected. And then select the circle behind the wrenches. I'm going to use the Unite feature again. And this time I'm going to go back to my Appearances panel. I've got a fill of black. I'm going to add a stroke. Oops. A stroke of white. Six points. Let's see what we have here again. 4 and 16. But I don't think I'm going to double it up because I have the shirt color already coming through in the box. So we'll go with that. Go ahead and get rid of our swatches. So there's our design. One last thing I want to add. I want to save it. I'll save it here real quick. I've got a folder for this project already set up. Classic Corner Garage, and I'm going to do -2. Okay. Last thing I want to do is I want to add a distress texture to it. So we'll go to our Distress Texture Pack. Now you can get a 4-piece pack free on my website at easydesignresources.com/freebie. You just enter your email address and you'll get a free download link that includes 9 t-shirt designs and 4 distress textures, and then the t-shirt mock-up that we use at the end of each video. So this is what you get with our Easy Design freebie. Thank you so much for downloading our Easy Design freebie. You get 9 different design templates, 4 different distress textures, and a free mock-up with a heather gray layer. I also included down here, you can see this kind of thin swatchy thing. These are Gildan shirt colors. So I went through and I named them all. I believe I've got ink color and shirt color. So if you were to print on a black shirt and you wanted to use Kelly Green, we've got Kelly Green Spot. If you wanted to print on a Kelly Green shirt, we've got shirt green or shirt color green. The same for oranges. We've got the whole kit set up to where you can easily work in spot colors. You can change them just by double clicking it. You can change the name. You can change the content of the color. So I'm going to use one of these wrinkled textures along with this vertical texture. The vertical one's perfect because it runs just the same way that the fabric texture of a shirt goes. So I'm just going to copy those. Actually, I'm going to type a V and then select my mock-up here. So I've got the mock-up and the distress textures. Go back to our design, make a new layer. Command 0 will get my artboard back to fit in my window. And Command V, oops, got to select our layer. Command V will paste it. Grab my distress textures and just scoot them to the side. grab the t-shirt, group it. I want to center it. And the way I do that is I've got the alignment set up to align to the artboard. So these alignment tools on the top of my toolbar will align it to the artboard, center and horizontally, that's what I prefer to do. And then I'm just going to drag this out to where it fits the space. And let me kind of mark where I think the middle of the shirt would be. Oops. Grab that. Shift X to convert that to a stroke. That seems about right. And then I would say that the chest on the shirt would be about here. All right, so we'll grab our distress textures, copy them, delete, and actually, let's come over here and get rid of the heather. We're not going to use that. Lock the wrinkles, type in X to bring the fill color forward, and then I'm going to change that to our tan. Unlock it. Come back down to our design, Command V to paste. So I'm for sure using this vertical one. All right. And I'm going to color it the color of the shirt just so we can see it, and then we'll see which one of these texture ones is best. Okay, not bad. I'm going to move it 16 inches to the right. Bring this one over. Now the point of distress isn't just to annihilate your art. You want it to be an authentic feel and look to what a shirt that's been through the ringer would look like after a few years. So I think that fits what we're looking for. In fact, I'm going to take the back one that is the vertical lines. I'm going to scale it. I'm going to hit S on my keyboard, hit return, and I want to go non-uniform. So I want the vertical to be 100%, but horizontal I'm going to be 50%. And then I'm just going to click and drag that over. Go Command Y. Oh, let's see. There we go. Drag it over. Select the other one, group it, and then center it. So now we got thinner lines, and as we come up here, you can see just the way that the fabric, the texture of the shirt itself, would impose itself on the print. All right, so I'm going to unlock everything, lock the first texture, lock the second, unlock those, copy it, delete, and then I'm going to group our design. All right, now I'm going to go to transparency, and I'm going to make a mask. I'm going to select the box on the right, and I'm going to do Command F. And then once I do that, I'm going to hit invert. I'm going to get rid of clip. You can see that now our distress texture is in the art. I can move the art and the distress texture stays. It is part of the mask, part of the actual file. So I'm going to copy that, go up to our imprint area. All right, and paste and group. We already grouped it. All right, I'm going to type in S for the scale tool and then just kind of bring it in till I think it is proportionally where I want it. Remember, we're going for like a 12-inch wide look on this shirt, and that's going to be pretty much all the way across the chest on a large T. There we go. All right, we'll lock that and then just select those two cross pieces that we put in there. Get rid of them. And It needs to be a little bit smaller, 95%. All right, last thing we want to do is copy, delete, type in A for the direct selection tool. We want to select our wrinkle. You can see we have our wrinkle layer selected, and then paste behind, Command B. All right, now we're all set. I know this was a long one, and I'd like to thank you for hanging out. Don't forget, if you want to expand your design skills, head over to my website, easydesignresources.com/free workshop, to get my free Intro to Illustrator workshop. This course is an in-depth walkthrough for setting up your workspace and understanding the tools and effects at your disposal. There's a link in the box below. Also, if you don't currently have Adobe Illustrator, there's a link down there where you can get your first month free. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and hit that like button for good measure. I hope you have a great week, and we'll see you in the next one.